When you create a new style sheet, one of the first things you're going to want to do is to create your base styles. Sometimes these are called the reset styles. These are the styles that will be used to build the other styles upon. In other words, as I go through building my style sheet, I'm going to be building styles around, say, paragraph tags and heading tags. I want to create base starting points for those tags so I don't have to put all that base information in each style. I'll give you an example here. Let's say for paragraphs, I want to set a margin. Now the standard margins are something like this. And what that means is that there's a top margin of 0, a right margin of 0, a bottom margin of 1em, and EM for M is a unit that means the size of the font, for example. So if you've got a 12-point font, then this would be 12 points. And 0 for the left margin. So these measurements go clockwise: top, right, bottom, and left. So that would be the standard, and if I save that and go and reload over here, nothing changes. So that is typically the default. So let's say I wanted my margins to be a little bit different. I could say 0.75em and save that and reload, and you see now I've got a little bit tighter margins there. And let's say I don't like this space at the top before the headers. Headers in your typical browser implementation have a margin before and a margin after, and I just want a margin after. So I can go and I can do something like this. So that'll select all the different header types, levels 1 through 5, and I say margin 0, 0, so that's the top and the right, and the bottom one would be 0.5em, so it'll be half the size of the font of the header, and a 0 there. And I save, and come over here and reload, and now I have what I think are reasonable starting place margins. So you can do all kinds of things with this. You know, let's say you want your headers to be styled a little bit differently, maybe have a different font or a different, base color, and then when you start from there, all your other ones will start from the same place. For my part, I might want to have some blue headers. So I can say .blue, and this is a class selector. So anything that I want to have blue, I just use this, and I say color, and say 669, which is a light pastelish blue, and I save, and then come over here to my HTML, and let's put in another header over here. I'll just copy and paste this and stick it in there and say class equals blue. So that's the class selector. And so when I say class equals blue in my HTML, over here in my CSS, this .blue is the selector that will select everything that says class equals blue. And so it's got this color. When I go over here to the browser and reload, we'll have a light bluish header. It's got the margins that I like, and it's just got this blue on top of it. So I could even do the same thing with a paragraph if I wanted to, and come down here a couple of paragraphs and say class equals blue. You're starting to see the power of CSS. The power of CSS is in the way that the styles cascade. So now I'm selecting the paragraph formatting that I've already got in my base style for the paragraph. Up here is still in effect, but I'm adding on top of that this blue, and I don't have to type all of this again. That's already applied. And so if I come over here to the browser now, I've got a light blue paragraph. And so I've got a style class that I've applied to two different types of elements, and all of their base styles are still in effect. So the important thing to remember when you want to take good advantage of these features and end up with concise, intelligible style sheets is set up your base classes and set those up with reasonable defaults. And then when you add things on top of them, then that'll be very, very easy to do, and you won't have to always be worrying about these base style elements that you've already decided on.